The alien exploration ship, Zelkor, moved silently through the darkness of space, approaching a long-abandoned solar system. It had been millions of years since anyone had visited this part of the galaxy. Captain Zev, a tall figure with blue skin and glowing eyes, stood at the command center of the ship. His team had been sent to investigate strange energy signals that had been detected from this system, specifically from a planet called Earth. Earth was nothing special now. The planet had been deserted for 500,000 years. Humans, the species that once lived there, had vanished without a trace. No one knew where they went or why they left. Captain Zev didn't expect to find anything useful, just some old ruins and dead technology. As Zelkor entered Earth's orbit, the alien team began scanning the planet below. The planet looked dusty and ruined from space. Tall cities lay in ruins, covered in dirt and overgrown with strange plants. But then something caught the attention of Zelkor's scanners, a large metallic object deep underground. "Captain Zev, we found something," said Zorak, the chief scientist on board. He looked nervous, his bright yellow eyes flickering with excitement. "It's not just ruins. There's a massive structure buried beneath the surface. It's a fleet of warships." Zev's heart raced. Warships? This was unexpected. The humans had left these behind? Why had no one discovered this before? "Show me," Zev ordered. The large display screen lit up, showing the image of hundreds of gigantic warships hidden beneath layers of dust and earth. They were arranged in perfect formation, as if ready for battle. The ships looked ancient, but their design was unlike anything Zev had ever seen. They were sleek, dark, and heavily armed. This is human technology?" Zev asked, unable to hide his surprise. Zorak nodded. "It seems so, Captain. But these ships, they're far more advanced than anything in our galaxy. If humans had this kind of fleet, why did they disappear?" No one had an answer. The alien crew whispered among themselves, wondering if they had stumbled upon something they shouldn't have. These ships were not just old relics. They were a symbol of a time when humans were a powerful force in the galaxy, a time long forgotten. Captain Zev's mind was racing. "We need to investigate this further," he said. "Prepare a team to go down to the surface. I want to know more about these ships and why they were left behind." The exploration team suited up and boarded a smaller vessel that descended to Earth's surface. The ruins of ancient human cities towered around them, but the team was focused on reaching the buried fleet. They carefully made their way underground, through a massive tunnel that led to the ships. As they reached the fleet, the sheer size of the warships overwhelmed them. Each ship was bigger than any vessel the aliens had ever seen. Captain Zev stood in awe, looking up at the colossal ships. They were clearly designed for war, with enormous cannons and thick armor plating. "These ships, they're still in perfect condition," Zorak said, examining one of the ships. "It's like they've been preserved for all these years, waiting for something." What were the humans planning? Zev wondered aloud. Why would they leave behind such powerful ships? And what were they protecting? The answers to these questions were still a mystery, but one thing was clear. This fleet wasn't just abandoned. It was hidden, and now Captain Zev had found it. But as the team moved closer to one of the warships, something unexpected happened. A low hum filled the air. The ground beneath their feet trembled, and lights flickered to life on the nearest ship. The alien team froze in place, their hearts pounding. "The ship! It's powering up!" Zorak shouted, backing away in fear. Captain Zev's eyes widened. "We need to get out of here, now!" As the team rushed back to their vessel, the sound of the ship's systems coming to life echoed in the tunnel. Whatever they had just discovered, it wasn't dead. And now, the ancient human fleet was waking up. The crew of the Zelkor watched in shock as the warship powered up. Bright lights flickered to life across the massive vessel, and a deep hum filled the air. Captain Zev's heart raced. They had come to uncover the mysteries of Earth's ancient fleet, but now it seemed they had awakened something far more dangerous. "Get back! Everyone, move!" Zev shouted, his voice echoing in the narrow tunnel. Panic spread through the alien team as they hurriedly retreated toward their smaller ship. The walls vibrated with the energy surging from the warship. They could hear the low rumble of machinery coming to life, and the ground felt alive beneath their feet. As they reached their vessel, Zorak frantically punched in commands to lift off. "We need to get out of here before it's too late," he yelled. The rest of the team scrambled aboard, eyes wide with fear. "Is it going to attack?" asked Tira, a young crew member, trembling as she strapped herself into her seat. "I don't know," Zev replied, gripping the controls. "But we can't stick around to find out." With a roar, the smaller ship shot into the air, barely avoiding the powerful wake of the awakening warship. The team watched in awe and horror as the ancient craft began to rise from the ground, its massive form emerging from the dust and debris. The alien technology seemed to come alive, and the ship's engines roared to life, sending clouds of dirt swirling into the air. "Captain, look!" Zorak pointed at the fleet. The other warships were also stirring, lights flashing and engines rumbling. They were awakening one by one, like a giant beast roused from a deep sleep. The sight was both mesmerizing and terrifying. "Are they coming for us?" Tira gasped, gripping her seat. Zev focused on the ships, his mind racing. "We have to find a way to communicate with them. They might think we're a threat." The warships began to rise into the sky, forming a tight formation above the alien ship. Each vessel was massive, far larger than anything Zev had ever encountered. He could see their weapon systems slowly coming online, and his heart sank. They were not just waking up. They were preparing for battle. "Captain, we need to get out of here now," Zorak urged. "If they see us as enemies, we could be destroyed." Zev knew they couldn't just run. They had to understand what was happening. "We can't abandon this mission. If these ships are truly human technology, we might learn something valuable. But we need to be smart about it." He took a deep breath and made a decision. "Zorak, prepare a message. We need to send a signal that we come in peace. We need to show them we are not a threat." "Are you sure?" Zorak looked hesitant. "What if they don't understand?" "There's no other choice," Zev replied firmly. "We can't let fear control us. We have to try." As the Zelkor hovered just below the fleet, Zev quickly composed a message on the ship's console. He focused on creating a simple signal, using universal patterns of light and sound that might convey peace. He programmed it to transmit directly to the nearest warship. "Sending the signal now," Zorak announced, his fingers flying over the controls. The console lit up with bright colors, sending a clear message of peace to the human fleet. The alien team held their breath, watching as the nearest warship paused, its engines humming softly. For a moment, it seemed as if the ship was considering their message. Zev felt hope flicker in his chest. But then, the warship turned its weapons towards them, and alarms blared throughout the Zelkor. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," Zev shouted, heart pounding in his chest. The warship fired a warning shot, a brilliant beam of energy cutting through the air. It narrowly missed the Zelkor, lighting up the sky with its intensity. "Captain, they're not responding! They think we're attacking!" Zorak yelled in panic. Zev clenched his jaw, feeling the weight of responsibility. "We have to find a way to reach them before it's too late. If we don't stop this, we'll all be caught in a war we never wanted." As the warships closed in, Zev knew they had to act fast. The fate of the alien crew, and the secrets of Earth's lost civilization, hung in the balance. The bright flash of energy from the warship sent shockwaves through the crew of the Zelkor. Captain Zev gripped the controls tightly, trying to steady the ship as alarms blared all around him. The warning shot had been a clear message. They were not welcome. Panic spread through the team as they realized the ancient fleet was waking up, and they might be caught in the middle of a battle they didn't understand. "Captain, we need to get out of here!" Zorak shouted, eyes wide with fear. "If they think we're enemies, they'll destroy us." Zev glanced at the screen, where the massive warship loomed ominously, its weapons trained on them. The other ships were also beginning to power up, lights flashing in unison. "I know, but we can't just flee. We need to find a way to communicate." Suddenly, the ground shook again. More ships were rising from their resting places beneath the surface. Each massive vessel lit up, one by one, as they emerged from the dirt and dust. It was like watching a giant hive come to life. The entire fleet was awakening, and Zev knew they had to act quickly. "Zorak, can you enhance our signal?" Zev asked, his mind racing. "Make it loud enough for all of them to hear. We need to show that we are not a threat to anyone." "I'll try," Zorak replied, frantically typing on the console. The colors on the screen shifted, and Zev hoped it would be enough to get the fleet's attention. As more ships powered up, the tension in the air grew thicker. The enormous warships began to move in unison, forming a tight formation above the Zelkor. It was an awe-inspiring sight, but the alien crew could not shake the feeling of danger that loomed over them. "Signal is ready," Zorak said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "I'm sending it now." Zev watched the screen closely as the new signal shot out into the void. It pulsed with patterns of light and sound designed to communicate peace. The first warship hesitated for a moment, then the lights on its hull flickered as if it was processing the message. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the Zelkor, filling the ship with a deep, resonant tone. It was a language they didn't understand, but the urgency in the words was clear. The warship was trying to communicate. "What are they saying?" Tira asked, fear evident in her voice. "I don't know," Zev admitted, trying to make sense of the sounds. But before he could think of a response, the nearest warship fired another warning shot, this time directly into the path of the Zelkor. "Evasive maneuvers!" Zev shouted, pulling the controls hard to the left. The ship tilted, narrowly avoiding the beam of energy. He felt a rush of adrenaline as he realized they were now caught in a standoff. The fleet had awoken, but they had not yet decided what to do with the Zelkor. "Captain, we can't keep dodging their shots forever!" Zorak cried out. "We need to show them we mean no harm!" Zev's mind raced. He remembered the stories of the ancient humans, tales of their courage and ingenuity. They had faced great challenges, and now their legacy rested on the shoulders of this alien crew. If they were to survive, they had to reach the heart of the fleet and find a way to communicate their peaceful intentions. "Zorak, send out a message in the human language if you can," Zev instructed. "We might not understand them, but we can show respect for their past. Use the recordings we have of human speech." Zorak nodded and quickly retrieved the audio files. He activated the speakers, and the ship filled with the sounds of human voices. The words echoed through the air, a mix of greetings and assurances. As the last word faded, Zev held his breath. The warships remained still for a moment, and he feared that their effort had been in vain. But then, slowly, the nearest ship lowered its weapons. The other ships followed suit, lights flickering in a wave of calm. "Captain, they're responding," Zorak shouted. The tension in the air eased slightly, but Zev knew they were not out of danger yet. The voice of the warship returned, now with a different tone. It seemed less hostile, more curious. Zev focused, trying to decipher the meaning behind the words. Suddenly, the ships began to move closer, circling the Zelkor as if they were examining it. "Are they going to attack again?" Tira whispered, gripping her seat tightly. "No," Zev said, his heart pounding with both fear and excitement. "I think they're trying to understand us." The ancient fleet was alive around them, and the crew of the Zelkor had only just begun to uncover the secrets of Earth's lost civilization. Whatever happened next would shape their fate and the fate of the fleet that had waited for centuries to awaken. The Zelkor floated in the midst of the ancient war fleet, surrounded by ships that had not stirred for over 500,000 years. Captain Zev felt a mix of fear and excitement. The warships, once silent and dormant, were now alive with energy. He knew that the crew had to unravel the secrets hidden within these vessels before it was too late. As the ships circled around them, Zev noticed the intricate designs on their hulls. They were covered in symbols that looked like a mix of art and technology. Some were familiar to him, like the symbols used in ancient human communications, but many were unlike anything he had seen before. He felt a chill run down his spine. What secrets did these ships hold? "Captain, we're receiving a new message," Zorak said, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. The screen lit up with images and sounds, displaying more of the strange language. But this time, it was accompanied by visual patterns, pictures that seemed to tell a story. Zev leaned forward, trying to make sense of the images. They showed humans, some familiar, some alien in their appearance. The humans were fighting battles, building cities, and exploring the stars. But there were also images of destruction and loss. "What does it mean?" Tira asked, her eyes wide. "I think they're showing us their history," Zev replied. "They are telling us about their struggles and achievements." He watched as the images transitioned to show humans working together, solving problems, and creating great machines. They were once powerful, but they faced great challenges. Zorak furrowed his brow. But where did they go? Why did they disappear? As if in response, the ships emitted a series of low, resonating sounds. The images shifted again, now depicting a dark shadow spreading across the galaxy, consuming planets and civilizations. The crew of the Zelkor watched in horror as they saw what appeared to be a massive war, with humans fighting against an overwhelming force. "Look!" Tira pointed at the screen. One image showed a group of humans standing together, resolute. They were armed, ready to fight. But in the next image, their forces were overwhelmed, and chaos erupted. The crew gasped as they witnessed the destruction of human cities and the final stand of the humans. They fought bravely, but it was not enough, Zev said quietly, feeling a sense of sadness wash over him. They were pushed back into hiding, and their history was lost. Zorak's voice shook with disbelief. But how did they survive? How could a civilization with such power simply vanish? The images changed once more. Now they showed the warships that surrounded them. The ships were not just vessels. They were sentinels, protecting the remnants of humanity. The ancient war fleet had been created to ensure that one day, when the time was right, the humans could rise again. They were put into a deep sleep, Zev realized. These ships were waiting for the moment when humanity could return to the stars. The resonance from the ships intensified, and the crew felt a wave of energy surrounding them. It was as if the fleet was awakening to their realization. "They must sense our understanding," Zev said, his heart racing. "They know we see the truth of their past." Suddenly, a brilliant light filled the screen, and Zev shielded his eyes. The warships began to glow, their surfaces shimmering with energy. "What's happening?" Tira shouted, gripping her seat. Zorak checked the readings. "I don't know. It's like they are coming to life. They are awakening." The energy pulsed stronger, and the images on the screen shifted to show a new purpose. Now the ships were forming together, their lights flashing in a complex pattern. Zev felt a sense of hope. Maybe they are ready to accept us. Perhaps they want to work together. With a newfound determination, Zev took a deep breath. "We must show them that we are not their enemies. We come in peace, and we want to learn from them." The Zelkor felt the weight of the ancient fleet's history pressing down on them. The secrets of the humans had been uncovered, and it was now their responsibility to ensure that the legacy of humanity was honored. They had to bridge the gap between two civilizations that had lost touch with each other. As the ships continued to awaken, Zev knew that the next step was crucial. They had to build trust and understanding, not just for themselves, but for the future of both their species. He looked at his crew, their faces filled with determination and resolve. They were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "Let's make history," Zev declared, his voice steady. "Let's awaken the spirit of humanity together." The crew nodded, united in their mission. The fate of two civilizations now rested in their hands. The atmosphere on the Zelkor was electric as the ancient warships began to awaken fully. Captain Zev stood at the helm, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. The fleet was alive, but time was not on their side. They could sense a dark presence in the galaxy, the same shadow that had once consumed humanity. Zev knew they had to act fast before it returned to finish what it had started. "Captain, we've picked up unusual energy readings," Zorak called out from his station, eyes glued to the monitor. "It looks like a massive ship is approaching fast. It could be the same threat that wiped out the humans." Zev felt a chill run down his spine. "How long until it arrives?" "Less than an hour," Zorak replied, his fingers flying over the console. "If we don't do something soon, we won't be ready." Zev turned to Tira, who was studying the glowing warships surrounding them. "We need to coordinate with the fleet. They have the technology and experience to help us fight back." Tira nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "But we need their trust first. We can't assume they will follow our lead without knowing our intentions." Zev thought hard. They had already shown the fleet their peaceful approach, but they needed to take it further. "We must create a united front. Let's send out a message to all ships explaining our plan. We need to prepare for battle together." Zorak quickly set to work, crafting a message that combined human and alien communication styles. He transmitted it through the fleet, hoping the warships would respond positively. As they waited for a reply, Zev felt the tension rising. The clock was ticking, and the threat was getting closer. Suddenly, the screens lit up with the response from the fleet. The nearest warship, a massive vessel named Aegis, sent a reply that echoed throughout the Zelkor. "We are ready to fight alongside you, humans. We recognize your courage and will prepare our weapons." Zev's heart soared. "Great! We'll need every ship on our side. Let's form a battle strategy." The crew of the Zelkor sprang into action, quickly drafting a plan. They would use the warship's advanced technology to create a defensive line. With the fleet at their side, they hoped to hold off the impending threat long enough to mount a counterattack. "Captain, the enemy ship is entering our detection range," Zorak shouted. The tension in the air grew thick as everyone prepared for battle. Zev could see the massive silhouette of the approaching ship on the view screen. It was dark and menacing, with weapons bristling along its hull. "Signal the fleet to take their positions," Zev commanded. "We will not let them take Earth again." The warships of the ancient fleet formed a protective line alongside the Zelkor. The glow of their weapons pulsed in anticipation. Zev felt the unity of both crews, humans and aliens standing together against a common enemy. It was a moment of hope amidst uncertainty. As the enemy ship drew closer, Zev's mind raced with thoughts of humanity's past. He thought of the sacrifices made by those who came before, the battles fought and lost. This time, they would not fail. This time, they would stand together. "Captain, they are firing!" Zorak shouted, pointing at the screen. Energy beams shot from the enemy ship, illuminating the darkness of space. "Brace for impact!" Zev yelled. The Zelkor shook as the first beam struck the shields, but they held strong. The ancient warships returned fire, their weapons blazing in a synchronized response. "Fire! Fire!" Zev shouted. The crew of the Zelkor unleashed their weapons, and beams of energy lit up the dark void, connecting with the enemy ship. The sound of battle filled the air, a mix of determination and desperation. Zev watched in awe as the ancient fleet fought beside them. The warships moved with precision, their long, dormant systems coming to life in a spectacular display. For the first time in centuries, humanity's legacy surged through the stars. But the enemy ship was powerful, retaliating with deadly force. Zev could see the energy beams striking the ancient ships, one after another. "We can't let them break our line," he urged. "Reinforcements are on the way," Zorak shouted. "We just need to hold on a little longer." With every passing second, the battle intensified. Ships exchanged fire, and the darkness of space was illuminated with brilliant flashes. Zev felt the adrenaline coursing through him, but he knew they had to outsmart the enemy. "Let's split their focus," Zev said, an idea forming in his mind. "If we can create confusion, we might be able to gain the upper hand." He turned to the fleet commanders, now connected through a communication link. "We need to split our forces! Let's create distractions to draw their fire away from the main attack." The commanders agreed, their voices full of resolve. "We will follow your lead, Captain." As the fleet executed the plan, the tide of the battle began to shift. Ships moved in coordinated formations, launching decoys and flanking maneuvers. The enemy ships struggled to respond to the sudden chaos. Zev's heart raced as they pressed forward, determined to protect Earth and the legacy of humanity. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting to reclaim their place in the stars. Together, they would face the darkness head-on and emerge victorious.